and welcome to this first of our sixth form bridging sessions that you will be looking at over the summer. This one focuses on study skills, and it focuses on how you can best prepare academically for September. So there will be in this video some tips about how to be a successful sixth form student, some ideas about how to adopt what we're going to explore, which is called the A-level mindset, and also some practical ideas about how to improve your note-taking skills and how to do some preparation that will help you for when you start sixth form in September. So, without further ado, let's begin. So lots of studies suggest that students are more successful in sixth form when they adopt certain habits and certain practices. And our study skills program is informed by the work of Oakes and Griffin, and they talk about an A-level mindset, and they talk about certain characteristics that students have who then go on to be successful in their sixth form studies. And it's those characteristics that we're going to have a look at first of all. So here we have the work by Oakes and Griffin that I mentioned previously, the A-level mindset. And what they do in this work is they point out clearly that progress is not something which is a linear curve. You don't simply move from one position in your educational journey to the next on a nice straight line of progress. It is not the case that just because you did well in your GCSEs, you are definitely going to do well in your A levels or your level 3 BTECs. And similarly, it is not the case that if you did okay in your GCSEs, but you didn't necessarily do as well as you could have, it does not therefore follow that you are not going to be able to do very well at A level or very well in a level 3 BTEC. Learning is a process, it is not a straight line of progression. Now, what you can do to help is to develop some really clear aptitudes and really clear dispositions that make you a successful sixth form student. The first thing to think about is vision. How well do you know what you want to achieve? Think about the effort that you put in. How many hours of independent work do you do? Think about the systems that you have in place. How do you organize your learning and organize your time? Think about practice. How do you practice? What kind of work do you do to practice your skills to improve in your different subject areas? And finally, how is your attitude? How do you respond to setbacks? How resilient are you when things don't go your way straight away? So these 5 areas, vision, effort, systems, practice, and attitude, have the acronym VESPA, and that is what Oakes and Griffin focus on in their study, and that is some of the things that we focus on throughout Year 12 in developing your study skills. So think about a low vision student, a student who doesn't really know what they want to do, doesn't really have a clear idea about where they're going in the future. That makes it very difficult for that person to be really motivated and to be as successful a student as they could be. So if you're thinking that I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do or what my vision is, think about a problem rather than a job. So think about a problem, an issue, something in society, something around you that really inspires you, that you are interested in, and then think about how you can do something to affect that. So here, how can we improve healthcare for all people in the country? I want to get involved to try and help tackle this problem. That's different to saying I want to be a doctor. I'm going to study medicine at Manchester, I need to get 3.8. So the problem, it gives you a clue as to a potential job or something that you could do, but the problem itself is the thing that gives you vision. How can I do this? How can I work to improve this area in society? What can I do to make an improvement? How can I engage with this issue? That helps to give you the motivation to carry on with your studies, to think about, I'm focused on my studies, and I've got a vision for where I want to go because I'm focused on this particular problem that I am interested in. Here's a low effort student, likes to laze around a little bit, doesn't really do very much, doesn't really work very hard, uses quite a lot of excuses, possibly isn't very well motivated as well, so maybe they don't have much of a vision, and that means that they are quite lazy and don't really do very much. For these people who are prone to being a bit lazy or maybe not working as hard as they could, think about making a pre-made decision about things that are most likely to stop you from putting the effort in. So we've got some things here like, oh, your internet connection is down, so you can't do the thing you were going to do. What are you going to do instead? You set aside some time to catch up some work, but a friend arrives, wants to hang out and chat. What are you going to do? It's a perfect day for revising. You've got lots to do, but the sun's out. What are you going to do? And if you had a pre-made decision of like, look, even though that's the case in that scenario, I'm going to do X amount of work, that might help you to get away from some of the laziness, get away from some of the putting things off and not really doing the work that needs to be done. The low system student. This is a student who doesn't really have a very organized plan. They maybe have a system that sort of worked for them at GCSE, but it's not really a system that's going to work for them going forward. You need to think about the fact that you can't always work at your maximum all the time, and you can acknowledge that sometimes it's difficult to always work at your maximum. So think about the fact, and Alcott draws attention to this, there are 3 types of attention. Sometimes we can be proactive, fully focused, fired up, feeling fresh. Sometimes we're active attention, so we're plugged in, we're ticking along nicely. And then there's inactive attention, where you might be a bit flagging, you might be a bit foggy, you might be a bit tired. So think about your week. When are you most likely to be feeling a bit tired, a bit foggy? When are you most likely to be fully focused and fired up? And have a system in place that means that you do the work which is maybe the most challenging at a time when you have the most proactive attention. Don't leave the stuff that's really challenging to the point when you're really tired, because that's going to contribute to potentially you not putting very much effort in, and that links to the low effort student, someone who's putting work off and can't be bothered to do it. So identify when in the week you are really proactive and try and do some work then. When you're flagging and you're foggy and you really are a bit tired, choose something simple to do then. So don't just sack it off and oh, I'm not going to do anything for X portion of the week because I'm usually tired. But think about the type of work that you do during that period, because it's likely to be different to the type of work that you do when you're feeling particularly proactive. The low practice student, so someone who doesn't really have very good habits of practice, doesn't really have very good habits of things that are going to help them to be successful in their subject. So maybe they just write loads and loads and loads of notes on little post-its, or load of notes on little index cards, or copy things out, but the practice that they're doing is not very challenging, and the practice that they're doing is not really helping them to be successful in that subject. People who have lots and lots of nice stationery and lots of highlighters and make lots and lots of pretty notes, but those notes are not actually necessarily helping them in the subject that they are studying. Think about the reality that some work is challenging and has a high level of challenge, and some work requires a high level of skill. And what you're looking to try and find a way of working that allows you to reach a sort of flow. And the flow is when both the challenge and the skill level are high, and what you are doing is very successful. So think about creating a high flow environment for you. So Think about the levels of foreground and background noise that are wherever you are working. Think about the number of people that are there. If I personally am trying to reach a position of flow in the work that I'm doing, I don't want anybody else there to distract me. I want to be working independently. Think about the behaviors of the other people that are there. If they are talking, if they are distracting you, then that's not going to allow you to be successful in the system that you are trying to adopt to maximize your study. Think about the quality of the seating spaces. Think about where you're sitting and what you're doing. If you're lounging around on something when you are trying to work, that's not necessarily going to make you as productive as you could be. And think about the levels of light. Don't be sitting when it's too dark, but also don't be sitting so it's like the light is so bright that it's like you're being interrogated. Think about how you create a system of working and where you work, and think about how that helps you to be as successful as possible. Also, feeling calm and focused. So you need to get into a mindset where you can work really effectively. And it doesn't mean that the work that you're doing is easy, and that means you're calm because the work's easy. You need to try and get into a place where your focus is such that even when the work is the high challenge, and even when the skill required to do it is a high challenge, you can still stay calm and focused on what you're doing. The low attitude student, someone who just doesn't care, somebody somebody tells them that their work isn't very good, or they get 5 out of 10 and they wanted to get 8 out of 10, so that crushes their confidence. They've got very little resilience and they're not very good at overcoming problems. You've got to remember that learning is a process. It's not, as we said at the beginning of this little section, it's not a straight line of progression. You're going to go through peaks and troughs. You're going to go through points where you feel like you're doing well, and you're going to go through points where you feel like you're not doing very well. The key is to be resilient throughout that. Don't beat yourself up if a bit of work that you do doesn't get the grade that you want it to get. Listen to what the teacher said. Try and make it better next time. You've got to show some resilience. From GCSE to A level, and from BTECs at level 2 up to BTECs at level 3 is a big step. And because it's a big step, it means that you're not just going to go from getting grades 7, 8s and 9s to suddenly getting grades Bs, As and A stars. It doesn't work that way. So if you are used to getting very good grades, don't be downhearted if your grades slip in relative terms, because of the fact that the work that you are doing is difficult and it's hard. But as long as you seek feedback and you act upon it and you stay positive and show some resilience, then you will be able to make progress and you will be able to learn. But it's about overcoming problems and it's about facing up to them. And this issue of attitude is important because people who run away from their problems tend to be people who are systems, people who therefore don't show much effort. People who run away from their problems might not organize themselves particularly because they like to bury their head. Now, one of the main differences between the main school experience and the sixth form experience is that when you are in the sixth form, you have the opportunity to have study periods. So there are times during a day, there are times during the week when you are not in formal lessons being taught. And so this means that you have some time to be able to work independently. And developing some good time management skills and developing the ability to work independently is crucial to being a successful sixth form student. So, clearly, time management and effective time management is a crucial part of a successful sixth form study. Some of the problems that people often have with time management, they can be a bit disorganized, they misplace things. You've got to have an organized learning space. Keep a clear desktop, put pens and pencils somewhere clear, organize your notes, have a separate ring binder for each subject, use color dividers, file handouts with the appropriate notes. You've got to make sure that from the very beginning you start in an organized fashion, because the organization is crucial to being successful. Sometimes people put off doing coursework and assignments. So you put things off, you do something else. This is linked to the idea of a student who might have low effort or might have poor systems. And because you do that, then what happens is you end up with lots of time management problems because you have everything piling up at once. So think about starting work sooner rather than later, thinking about breaking down tasks into manageable chunks. Think about actually having a plan and setting out in a diary or a wall planner when you are going to do the things that you are going to do and when the deadlines are for these different things. If you get easily distracted, then go somewhere else. Go to a different part of the study area. It says here, negotiate study time with friends and flatmates. This is aimed at university students, this particular piece of advice. But it's the same for sixth form students. What you need to do is find a space that works for you, and if that means that it needs to be away from your friends and members of your family that distract you, then you need to do that in order to be as proactive as you can be and as productive as you can be. It says there, be aware of times of the day when you learn and concentrate, which links to the idea of different types of attention that Alcott talked about, that we mentioned in our look at A-level mindset. And don't overcommit. Don't try and promise people to do things, and then don't try and do too much at once, because otherwise that's going to leave you with poor time management and things are not going to be done on time because you're not going to have given yourself the opportunity to get them done on time. Prioritize the tasks that are the most urgent, and also do the challenging tasks at a time when you are most likely to be able to do them. Do the easy tasks, tasks that don't require as much attention or discipline, at a time where you are going to find it hard to study. You know that you might be tired. You know that you might be distracted at that time. So choose to do work that's relatively simple to do at that point. One of the things that you will get as a sixth form student is a planner, and the planner will look different to the planner that you've been used to having in main school, and it will allow you to plan out your week with the different tasks that you need to do, and it has a section for you to log the work that you have to do and to tick off when it is completed. But certainly planning out your week is really, really important. Planning out when the work has to be done and how you're going to do it and when you're going to do it is really, really important. Now, one of the things that you will undoubtedly be asked to do during your time in the sixth form is you'll be asked to take some notes. Take some notes from a textbook or an article, from a particular piece of writing that your teacher has given you. You are going to do this a lot when you are studying arts and humanities subjects, but you will still be asked to do it actually sometimes when you are studying more maths and science-based subjects. So it's a really important skill to develop, to be able to take notes efficiently and effectively. Have a look at this little video as an introduction to thinking about how we can best take notes. we're going to do is have a little go at an activity to develop your note-taking skills, and it's the sort of activity that you can practice between now and September to really develop your skills. Okay, so here is a very topical article by a lecturer in microbiology called Polly Hayes from the University of Westminster. If you pause this video now, you can read the first page of the article, so do that now. Here is the second page of the article, so pause and read that. And now, having read the article, try and make brief notes on it. So maybe you read it again. And what you're trying to do is to summarize the key points that are being made in the article. So pause this now and have a go at that. So here are my notes from the article by Polly Hayes, and you can see that I've concentrated on just condensing the information down to the key points. The article is trying to disprove the conspiracy theory and to show there's no evidence for the conspiracy theory that coronavirus came from some sort of lab in Wuhan where it was released into the population because there was a leak. And the article is effectively showing us how we know that the virus is a natural virus and how viruses evolve over time and are passed on by various different bats to humans. And this is how we know that coronavirus is a natural virus, because it's followed the same process. And I've broken it down into two headings. How do we know? Then about how viruses evolve. And I've condensed the information down to two main paragraphs there with the key ideas. Short sentences. I could have bullet pointed that. I could have put it in a little table if I wanted to. The point is that the notes are not just a regurgitation of the article itself, but the notes are a simplified version of the article. I've got the key information from the article. I've processed the information, and in so processing it, I have produced notes that are a shortened version of the article with just key notes. So, hopefully, you have got some useful information from this little session about study skills and about how to best prepare for September, how to develop your note-taking skills. There are obviously some subject-specific things that you can be doing to prepare for September also, and this involves looking at some of the A-level transition projects that are available online. If you go to Studentpod, which you get to by going to SharePoint on your Office 365 suite of apps and different programs, you click on Sixth Form, you will find that there is the list of different sixth form subjects, and if we chose biology as an example, if you look in the curriculum folder for each of these subjects, so the curriculum folder there, you will find that there is a folder which is called Year 11 into 12 Transition, and you can find here for biology an A-level biology transition project, and you can open that up. The resources are in the curriculum folder there in the Year 11 to 12 transition section, and you can see there's information here about the transition project and about the work that you can do, and those projects exist for all of your different A-level and level 3 BTEC courses, and it will be a good idea to have a go at some of those projects to help you to prepare for September in a subject specific way. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful, and hopefully it gives you some ideas about how you can best prepare for your sixth form studies in September. Until next time, stay safe, take care, and goodbye.